Hello, I'm JC Reed.
And I'm Juan Godino.
Juan, why are you still wearing your judge's robe?
Because I'm totally convinced now that after practicing Mr. Lamb's challenge, that I will make a great judge.
Juan, I'm sure you would. You just have to go for that dream one day.
I just might, JC.
Well, Juan, speaking of judges, our speaker today, who is going to tell us a story about sound judgment, is actually a lawyer.
Really?
Yes, Juan. His name is Josh Williams, and he works for our school system as the assistant superintendent.
Well, JC, let's listen to his story, and I can't wait for his challenge.
Sound judgment is about making decisions. We make a lot of decisions every day. Some of those are everyday decisions, and some of those require extra sound judgment because they're big decisions. Some of the biggest decisions of your life, you'll need to slow down to make a proper decision. That's one thing that I've learned. If it's a big deal, slow down, take your time. You don't have to decide right away. Also, I consider when I make a big decision to exercise sound judgment, I always consider who all it will affect. It's not all about me. It's not all about what I necessarily want. It's about all those who depend on me and count on me, and those who may not even know the decision's being made, but they'll be affected by it. And also, especially for big decisions, I personally pray about it. I've never had a decision so big, if it was a big one, that I couldn't at least sleep and pray on it and seek God's truth, the only truth that I know. So I'm asked to tell a story about sound judgment, and rather than tell you one where I felt like I exercised sound judgment, I'm going to tell you a time where I feel like I didn't exercise sound judgment and the effect that it had. So when I was in high school, I did something that I shouldn't do, and I got in trouble. And the biggest issue was my parents asked me about it, and at the time when they asked me if I had done that thing, I lied to my family about it. I lied to them because I was afraid of getting in trouble. I was afraid of being embarrassed. I was only thinking about myself. So I broke every rule of sound judgment I just said. I didn't take my time. I made a snap judgment. I certainly didn't see God's truth, and I wasn't thinking about how it would affect my family or anybody else. I was just thinking about me. So long story short, in the end, the truth did come out, and I was in trouble for that thing that I did as a teenager. But the lesson that I learned was that mistake, that poor judgment I made to not tell the truth, it hurt my family, and that hurts me even to this day that I didn't exercise that sound judgment. The good thing is I learned a valuable lesson that day, and that helps me even now when I face difficult decisions. If something's before me, I slow down. And if it's big, I always seek God's truth. So my challenge to you going forward is this. You're going to have little decisions like what to have for lunch, what kind of shoes to wear when you come to school, but you're going to have big decisions sometimes. And when you're wise enough to see that you have a big one, I encourage you to slow down, to consider others, meaning do unto others as they do unto you. And if it's a big one, if it's your way, I encourage you to sleep and to pray on it. In seeking God's truth, you're always more likely to make a better decision and exercise sound judgment.
That was a great story from Mr. Williams.
Yes, it was, JC, and I'm going to accept his challenge.
Me too. What about you, students? Will you accept Mr. Williams' challenge?
If you do, you will be a person who knows what it means to
Dare to dream.